Welcome to John's Thinking. Today we're going to talk about forklifts, how forklifts operate. We're going to video real quickly, so it's going to cut off for just a second. Then the other video will pop up and it will show you how forklifts are operated in general by Crown.com. Crown is the #1 leader in forklifts, so I hope you like it and hope you get information out of it. If you would, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button, and please tune in to what John is thinking. When you talk about forklifts, the general public thinks this is what a forklift is, what they drive, people use to drive. And when you work in a warehouse, you say, I drive a forklift. 99% of the time, this is what they think you meant. It's got a fork. Most of the time, it's propane operated. Very few out in the public have battery operated. But that's generally what the public thinks of a forklift. Now we're looking at Crown.com's website to show you different types of forklifts and to show you different types. So if you're applying for a warehouse job or talking about a warehouse job, this is what they have. Now Toyota, Mitsubishi, Hyundai, they all make forklifts used all around the world. Okay, now Crown calls this a counterbalance forklift. And the reason it's counterbalance is, well, the difference is between the two is this over here, if you see my mouse finger, this over here is a sit-down version. 90% of the time, this is what warehouses use. It's not very tall. It's about maybe 10 foot tall. So it can go inside of a trailer, pick up a pallet, pick it up, take it outside the trailer. And they call it, whoop, sorry about that. Get them to go away. This is a counterbalance because this will go up here, the mast, which is what this is referring to. The forks will go above your head, and the battery and the driver sits here. It's kind of like a joystick. You got a handle like a joystick, then you have a steering wheel, which is a big circle with a knob on top. Like I said, this is what general public is. We call them RCs where we work, but that's generally what they use to unload and unload dock trailers with. Okay, scrolling down. This here is kind of like a, we call it stock picker, but this is a pick picker, narrow aisle truck. Because you go down here, the aisle is so narrow that most areas that this will only go through. And this here, these forks, sorry about that. These forks will come out right here. Then they extend out, and you could pick up a pallet, bring it back in, and go back down. That's what those are for. General is reach truck is what they call these. Where we work out, they're called RRs. They stand for reach and retrieve. This is the new style. Instead of having two big mass here and here, they center it to be one mass. It takes a little to get used to. The driver will stay in here. Like I said, the joystick's right there. Handle's right here. You spin around. New type, old type. These are narrow aisles too. So when you swing around, the end of the narrow will be here and the other one here, and you put the pallets up in the air with it. I think for sure, they'll go 40 feet in the air. I'm not really sure exactly how high they will go, but that's generally what it is. This is the same thing. It's just a smaller version. You see them in smaller warehouses where they don't use as much freight as where we work at. But generally, this is the freight they use, smaller areas if they use them. Okay. These are what we consider stock pickers. This one here as a newer version. And what it does is the driver sits here, he goes up, and it basically, for changing banners, carries a little merchandise to go up and put banners on for different things. It's mainly used in like Ace Hardware, things like that. You'll see them use those for that reason. It's usually battery power. It's really quiet, doesn't do much. This one here, last place we worked at, you would pick a fork up, the pallet would pick up, you would take it up, you would hook a harness to here so you're hooked up, tethered up for safety, and then you would pick boxes off of pallets and you stack them on this pallet here, and then you take it over to a pick reserve, send it in there, and then they would use it on a conveyor belt and pick the boxes off conveyor belts and stuff. So that's what they use it for. Where we work at now, they have a yellow cage. They use them mainly for getting pallets at dump or something, but that's what it was for. The cage is a lot safer, but still we tether down up to make sure for safety. Okay, this is basically the same thing, but what this is designed to do is for big warehouses with their long and narrow, is you pick up a pallet, sometimes you gotta stack one or two, then you drive it across a warehouse or a long freight dock, and it goes for quite a ways, and then you drop it up and down. It's basically a pallet jack, but you stand behind it and do the same thing. Okay. Different types of, they are called stalkers or walkers. That's what we used to call them. And you would stand behind it right here. It's got control. You grab it right there, back and forth. Then it would, you could lower it and raise it. This would pick up a pallet, raise up and down, and drop it down. When I worked for a company, well, Target to be exact, we had this on the dock. In the back, we would pick up a pallet off the dock where the trailers would unload. We'd pick it up, we would back it up, then lower it to the ground. Then they would take it with a pallet jack out to the floor. We'll show you what a pallet jack is in case you don't know what it is. Then we use these sometimes to put product up in the back of the warehouse, back of the store. Now, these are the same types, just different versions. I'm not quite sure how that one operates. I haven't seen it before, but that's how it goes. Okay, down to pallet jacks. This is 90% of the time you've seen these. These are what you call a pallet jack. You stand here, it's manual operated, you pump it. There's a pump right here, and it's got hydraulic fluid in it, and you pump it up and down like a cylinder, and click it up and down to see which way you want it to go. And you use it, you pull it under a pallet, you carry them on the floor. You probably see a lot of them out in the warehouses where you go in stores. That's where it is. Drivers use them to unload their own trucks if they don't want to pay a company to do it. Some of them will invest in this. It's the same thing as this, but it's power. So this pulls it, motor in here, pulls it and uses power and a little battery. Okay. These are the same thing, but they are power operated. This one here is power. When I worked at the store, this is what they had in the back room. This is what they unload trucks with, and they come back out and you walk behind it. This here is a single pallet jack, better known as a PE. It stands for power equipment. And what it does is you carry one single jack on it. You can stand on it, so it's a rider. Use the same controls as the others and hand grip, and you could drive it in and out of trucks, haul different freights and different things like that with it. Okay, these are PEs too. This one here is a double pallet, and you could tell double pallet because the forks are a little longer than this one. This is a I think it's 4 feet, 48 inches, so this would be 8 feet. You could put 2 pallets on it. They do make them in longer warehouses where you can haul 3 on them. You can haul 3 pallets at a time, double stack, or how as you want to carry them. And what the driver does is stands in here, operates the controls here, and this little mechanism turns. Pretty cool, neat thing. Then it goes in and out, and that's how a forklift pallet jack works. Now, as you scroll down here, these are walk behind, or same thing, just a different view. Whoops, different view of them. Then they got some that will follow you in a straight line if you hit a button and you're picking out here, picking a case, and you don't save the person from walking back and forth. This will follow it. It will take it to and from and follow you. It will only go forward, not backwards, so it only goes in a straight line. Sometimes they have a little light up here that shows the person around you that it's moving in operation for safety. That's one reason that's up there, and to warn people around you that it's moving, where the other ones don't unless you honk a horn. To get a better idea of how this operates, go to a store and you see cart pushers, and they have a little buggy they're carrying behind them, and they put them on carts and they're at the front, and you wonder how that machine works. Same thing. It's a little bigger, they push it and it goes in a straight line, and wherever they're going, it's going, and they just tap the end of the cart and it will eventually follow them, where this will not. You have to actually hop back in it and turn it. Well, those are some forklifts, types of forklifts. So if you're applying for a forklift job at a warehouse and they say, can you drive a forklift? 90% of the time, they're talking about these and not these. But most places will train you. I believe OSHA requires 4 hours training. I'm not 100% sure on them, but they're pretty easy to get used to. I mean, this is like a steering wheel. It's like a joystick. Once you could drive one of these, you could pretty much drive the rest. They're pretty much easy to get to and operate. Most places are pretty good. Where we work, we got some great forklift drivers and unloaders, and they make it look super easy, but it's a lot of concentration, and these weigh probably as much as 2 cars right here. That's how much that weighs. 2 cars. So think of your car times 2. This one here, this reach and retrieve right here, weighs as much as 3 to 4 cars, depending on product. This one weighs 3, I believe. This one weighs 4 because it's got double mass, and they are very thin. The advantage to these versus this one is those run smoothly in the areas. Now, if you're gonna go outside, you need these. You need these big knobby tires. The other ones are smooth. You need these big knobby tires right here. As you can see on these here, right here, big tires. They usually got tread on them, so you could take them outside and unload them. Where all these here, one little rock on these up here aren't going anywhere. They're smooth. They're very smooth tires. Kind of like a smooth on a baby's butt. But that's pretty much how forklifts work and everything else. Just to let you know, some ideas on forklifts. Sorry the video's a little choppy, but I wanted to show you exactly what I was talking about. More of a visual thing than talking, or just hear me talking. So that's how forklifts work. Please tune in next time to what John is thinking. Have a good day.